Hi Manish, thank you so much for joining with us. So overall, let me talk about myself. My name is Ankush Thavri, and I'm the founder of Learnomate Technologies. I have 10 plus years of experience with the technologies like Oracle DBA, RAG DBA, then Golden Gate, big data technologies, and the cloud. And so today we are going to conduct this mock interview along with you. I hope you are fine with that. We are going to upload this video on the social media platform, and I think you should not have any problem.
Sure, Ankush, that's fine. I mean, it'll be useful for others to learn as a learning perspective. It'll be really useful. So thanks, Ankush. Thanks for giving me this opportunity to have an interaction with you.
Thank you. So before that, can you just brief me about yourself? Like, what's your roles and responsibility as a Oracle DBA? How many years of experience and the things like that?
Sure. So I have been with the IT industry for close to 11 years now. So into Oracle DBA, my experience is around 10 years. I have worked with different organizations in the past. So, initially when I started my career, it was like a junior DBA, where I was handling the incidents and the other basic stuffs that junior DBA handles. Gradually, I moved on to the other organizations where the roles and responsibility increased. So my last project or the last organization that I was working, it was, the role of an individual contributor, where I was working with the customers DBA team directly. So we were primarily focusing on the database migrations, upgrades. We were moving the customers' environments from on-premise to OCI. Also, we were upgrading the customers' database environments into their existing environment. So my experience with respect to technical technologies, I have worked end-to-end except Golden Gate. So I have worked on different environments hosted in on-prem as well as hosted in OCI. XSES. Also, I have good exposure on the high availability technologies like data guard rack and the other basic stuffs. I have closely worked on mostly all the aspects of DBA. Role has been diverse throughout. So yeah, that's pretty much about.
So you have 10 plus years of experience with these multiple technologies, including your RAG, data guard, and
okay. 10 years, you can say, yeah.
So how many clients you have handled till now?
Depends. So for I have changed like 3 or 4 organizations. So you can say 3 or 4 clients ranging from different aspects, like some of their automobiles, some of telecom, some of them were healthcare, some of them were public sector and all those things. So yeah, I have different industry experience.
Okay. And how many DBAs were there in your last project?
The last project that I was working, so we were like 3 DBAs from my organization, 3 DBAs were from the customer side. So total 6 DBAs were handling this, the database environments. They had close to 1,000 databases, including production, non-production. So yeah, that's the kind of setup we were working in.
And 6 DBA, like how are you rotating yourself in terms of shifts and all?
So, I mean, there was a concept of onshore and offshore. So we were covering the customer was based out of Mexico. So they were covering mostly the American hours were covered by the customer team, and the offshore hours were covered by our India team. So there was an overlap as well of for any handover and everything. So that's how we were managing. Later on, the team grew in size in India. We hired 2 more people, 2 more junior DBAs to manage the alerts and everything. So that's how it was.
So your role, it was there as a lead or like an individual contributor, you were doing that?
The last project was an individual contributor. Later, I mean, it was a complete project of database migration. Initially, it started with the upgrade and migration. Later on, it went into the production support, where we had to give the hypercare support to the customer for a few days, before a customer can handle their project on their own, before letting the project go from our organization to customer organization. So there was a hypercare period for 3-4 months where we were giving support. So yeah, initially we started with the migration. We helped them to migrate the databases from on-premise to OCI. Then there were a few upgrade challenges that we helped them, and then we supported them for any application need and everything. So yeah, so that's how it started. Started with the implementation, then moved into support role, and then hypercare support, and then it was a wind up. That's how it is.
So you were moving a data from your on-premises to the Oracle Cloud, right?
Yes.
So what are all things we need to take care before we move our data from on premises to, and how are you done that? What is the process that you followed?
So primarily when we started, like the customer has different environments. They have like small databases which were in non-production, and then there were databases which were larger in size. So the main consideration that we have to take care while doing the database migration is to like what method you are going to use. The character set, the method that you are going to use, how much time it is going to take, how much downtime you can afford during the migration. And then what will be the what will be the effective way of doing a migration, like how quickly you can hand over the environment to the customer once the database migration is done. So we initially, when we started, we tried a couple of methods like zero downtime migration. It worked in some cases, it
Great
does not
deal.
work. Yeah, so it worked in some cases. It is very useful in case of OCI. It worked in some cases, but in few databases there was challenges related to the wallet and other security stuff. Then we tried export import. Using export import, we migrated smaller databases. For the bigger and the larger databases, we use DataGuard. So how we did was, the customer environment is like non-CDB environment, and in OCI we were using the multi-tenant. So what we did was, we took a copy of standby database into the OCI, and then during the day of the migration, we converted that database into snapshot standby. And then on the target side, we created a container database, and then we copied the snapshot database. We plugged that database as a PDB into the container database. That strategy we used, and it was quite effective to do the migration.
Okay. And what about the Golden Gate? Any chances of using that?
No, we have not used Golden Gate, and customer is also not using their application in their environment.
How are you deciding this character set?
See, the character set is decided on what on the applications. So the customer is like from a healthcare background, so they have different applications. So all the databases that they are using for different different tools are on the different character set. So whatever character set they are using in on-premise, we are using the same character. We are creating the same CDB, same character set CDB in the OCI. And just to avoid these issues, because if the character set is different on the target side, it will be difficult to complete the migration. So it depends on the customer current environment. Like on the source only, we are deciding the character set.
So can't we change the character set?
We can do that. We can do that, but that has a lot of other challenges. I mean, there are nodes available there. We can change the character set after migration also. We can do that.
But if the database is already exist and I want to change the character set of the database, is it possible?
Yes, we can do that. Database character. There is a Oracle node during testing phase, but I have worked with a client where they wanted to do that, but it has to go at the table level, at the specific table level. We have to do that. That's a quite tedious exercise. It's not easy to change the character set, and many customers tend to avoid this exercise. We can do that. There are nodes available for that.
Okay. And what is the use of this wallet and all? Like why we are using that?
Wallet is like we are using keys. We have transparent data encryption concept is there in the Oracle. So we want to encrypt the data at rest. Like we have table spaces should be encrypted. All the database at the source, data at the source should be encrypted. So wallet are basically used to store the key store passwords whenever you want to encrypt the data at your on-premise level or in the OCI. In OCI, it is mandatory to have wallets. So wallet is basically you create a key store, you store the password there. For any kind of encryption that you want to implement.
Or do we need to have an additional license for that, or is it coming with the database itself?
I'm not sure on that aspect. I need to check on that.
And who takes care of this licensing part in the organization mostly?
That is taken care by the customer. Like customer is responsible for purchasing the OCI, what kind of model they want to go for. Like they want to go for bring your own license or fixed cost model. All the costing services, everything is taken care by the customer.
Okay. And so is it a migration project now you're working, like moving everything from the on-premises to the cloud platform? So what is the advantages you might have observed, why the people are moving from on-premises to the cloud?
The primary reason the customer wanted to move was they have this they are running Exadata on their on-premise. So Exadata cost-wise, it is very high. When you're running it on-premise, you have to take care of the storage, you have to take care of all the InfiniBand switches, all those stuffs are there. plus you have the additional cost of the OS and everything. So basically the infrastructure cost is quite large in the on-premise, and there are additional services. Most of the resources which they are not using, they are going waste. Some of the resources are underutilized. So when you go to the cloud, you pay only for the services that you are using. So the cost is reduced drastically. Cost is one aspect. Plus cloud also has some, there are good offerings as well. Like what I've seen in OCI, like they have manageability services, they have observability services, which are taking care. DB management services is also there. Like in on-premise, you are just using OEM for monitoring and everything, right? So, but in in cloud, there are additional database services which are there, which customer can utilize, and they're available at a very nominal cost. So I think it comes down to the cost. The overall aspect is the cost. Like you want to reduce the cost overall, so that's the whole intention.
Okay, and how many nodes you're using for rack or a data card, whatever you use?
We are going with 2 node. I mean, the customer is also using 2 node in their on-prem, and
Is it with the data card or just a rack?
With in data card also, in standby also we are using 2 node. So it's primary 2 node and the standby 2 node.
So standby is also on the cloud side only?
Yes, we have spread across 2 regions. Like we have like Phoenix and Ashburn. So we based on the customer's need, we are setting up the primary and standby on the respective region. So if a region is having a primary in one side, like we are setting up the standby on the other region to have the high availability.
Okay. And how are you configuring this data card setup in the OCA?
In OCI, like you have to first create a shell database in, like, if you want to set up a standby. So the standby, if I want to create a standby in India region. So in India region, I have to go log into the cloud console. I have to create a shell container database. So after the creation of the shell container database, I have to connect to the, there are 2 ways of doing it. You can do from the console and you can do manually also. But manual gives you a lot of control. So we have done it manually. Like we create the shell database from the console, and then rest to the other thing, like setting up the parameters, duplication, and then enabling the data guard, that we do from the console. I mean, from the command line. So that's how we have done it.
But in the OCA, it's quite easy, right? Like it is asking, like, do you want to have a data guard for? They just click there and it will create a data guard for you.
Yeah. So the main challenge is, like, if you want to do any DR drill, switchover and failover. So in that case, we observed some issues. We tried that method initially, but like we have very less control over that. To have better control on it, we did most of the things manually. So,
okay. What's the difference between switchover and failover?
Switchover is like, when you are doing a switchover, it's a planned activity. Like if you want to just swap the roles, you don't want to disrupt the
kind of testing, you're saying.
Yeah. So you just change the role. Your primary becomes a standby becomes your primary, and then you point the applications. Failover, I think we have used in DR testing, and also in failover, like we kind of replicate the fail scenario, like disaster scenario. When we fail over a database to a standby, the standby will become a primary, but your primary will be like kind of discarded. It will be of no use. So you have to kind of reinstate it to bring it up, to a usable state. So yeah, that's the primary difference between switchover and failover.
So do we need to rebuild that again? Just like we
you can do a rebuild also, or you can do a flashback also. What we have done is, like, we have flashback to reinstate that. You just note down the SCN number from the primary, from the new primary, when it got when the role got changed, and then you you flashback that the failed database into the bring it up as a flash it back and then change the role to standby. That way we can do that.
Okay. So you are enabling the flashback on database level, right?
Yeah, before DR we have to do that. Yeah.
And what about this? Like any challenges you want to talk about when you working on the rack environment? What are all challenges that you faced?
Rack. I mean, there are no specific challenges with respect to OCI in rack. Like it's quite stable. Like few months back, we have faced some challenges related to the some of the you can say the memory memory parameter. Because of the memory, the one of the node was not one of the node in one of the database instance was not coming up. It kind of getting crashed immediately. So yeah, we raised a case with Oracle, and then we had to increase the memory. Ultimately, memory was the only solution. We have to, but it was running on one node, so we did not have the complete outage. That's one thing that I remember recently that I have faced. apart from that, there is no other major challenge in rack that I have faced as of now. I have not faced any file corruption, cluster related issues, and also not really, not very much.
So usually we talked about the corruption kind of issues. Okay. So if you get any data file got corrupted, something on the primary side, how are you going to handle that in the data card environment?
First is if there is any corruption at the primary end, we have to stop the replication first. You have to stop the sync first. That should be the first thing, because if we come to know that there is a corruption at the primary side, and that should be the first step to stop the sync. First, fix the corruption or recovery, perform the recovery on the primary side, and then enable the sync to make the data card sync with each other. That is my analogy on that. So that should be the first step. We should be stopping the sync, do the, if the data file is corrupted, just do the normal recovery. You have the RMAN backup. You just have to bring down the database, bring down the file as offline, mount it and restore from the latest backup. And then you start the recovery on these primaries on the standby.
Which chances are there, which will, validate the, whether there is a kind of corruption is there, which will validate and try to automatically fix that issue, something like that?
I know there is you're talking about any physical corruption,
physical corruption.
Okay. You can validate your databases to see if you have everything there in RMAN. You can validate it. At the database level, there are things I'm not recalling. There are utilities available to check that. Not recalling it.
And so what's the difference between this? I want to talk about one more scenario. Let's say I got some issues in the data card environment. Both the primary and standby are not in sync. What are all things you will check in that?
The first thing is we have to check the alert log is the first thing. We need to check the alert log for the primary and standby both. And the second thing that we have to check is our recovery process is running or not, MRP is up or not, RFS should be also up. So RFS and MRP process are the key process for sync. That should be checked first. And then we have to check the gap, how much is the gap, on the primary side, what are the log sequence which is running and what is the log sequence which is running on the standby side. Identify how much is the gap, how you can recover it. If the small gap, you can just stop the MRP and recover it using the service name. That's one way. Or if the gap is huge, then you might have to copy the archives from the primary, restore it on the standby side, and then do a recovery. It comes down to the basic background processes and how much gap that you're having. So yeah, first thing is alert log will give you the clear picture what's happening. Yeah.
So if one or two archive logs are missing on the standby side, what you'll do?
We need to check. It depends. If the status of the MRP is wait for log, sometimes the log is missing on the primary. That would be one case. Second thing is if the one or two archives are missing, you just have to wait for some time. Sometimes there is a network disconnect, they get synced automatically. Most of the time it happens. In case the archives are missing, then you have to restore it on the primary, and then you stop the MRP and then you start the MRP. It automatically catches up. That also happens for one or two archives. So yeah,
we can copy the archive logs from primary to just send it by using SCP to the standby and just register that, right? That is also possible.
Yeah, that is also possible. Yeah.
So is this a sequence to really matter in the archive logs in data card environment? Let's say I'm saying the sequence number 1, 2, 3 is okay, which is moving to the standby. 4, 5 is missing, but 6, 7s are okay again. So does that sequence number play an important role?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no, because in identifying how much you are missing in that time, it is useful. You can identify the sequence if there is
so I'm saying let's say 5 and 6 is missing. Okay, 7, 8 is available. So does that 7, 8 will go to the standby side?
Yeah, it will go. I think it will go. If the two archives are missing from the primary, they are not there in the primary, but the 7, 8 is there, they will go to the standby side. If you're, the process is receiving, it will go.
Okay. In what situations the data card it will pick the standby side, it will pick up directly archive logs, or it will pick up the change from the that your redo log buffer, from where it is going to check that. I want to make the changes. I want to see the changes, right? So I have a standby side. So standby will be in sync with the primary by taking the data from the archive logs or from the redo log buffer or online redo logs, from where it is going to take.
From the redo log, I mean, we have threads, right? And all the changes which are happening on the primary, they are happening in case of rack, it happens in threads. So the threads will keep on writing in the redo log. From there, it will pick up the changes, and the standby will pick up the changes.
Okay, so if the data is picking from the online redo logs, then why the archive logs are moving from primary to standby?
Yeah, ultimately, it is like the archives are basically offline copy of redo logs only. They are, I mean, archives are basically both are same. If you check in the data,
both are same. I'm agree with that. But my question is, from where it is picking up? The data is picking up from the online redo logs, or your archive logs are itself going to the standby side?
I think in that case, I have to revert my answer. It should be archive logs.
You got my point, right? What I'm trying to say.
I got your point. Yeah. I mean, whether it's picking up the logs from the archive log destination, or it is picking up from the redo logs, that's your question is right.
Correct.
So I think it is from the archive log.
You need to look into something called protection mode. Okay.
Okay.
So we have protection modes are there, right? Maximum performance, maximum availability. That part will help you to understand this concept.
Okay.
So overall, like I think you are good, quite good in terms of all. So it was a nice experience to have a discussion with you. I hope you also find it useful. It's just a mock interview, and that's the reason like we are posting it to the social media, so that it will help to the people, those who want to start their career into the technology like Oracle DBA and all. So like since you are very much expert with this technology and have a huge experience with this Oracle DBA, around 10 plus years of experience with the technology, do you have any message for the people who want to start their career into the DBA, the freshers, or maybe some people who are already working and they want to switch back to the Oracle DBA? Any message you want to give? How to kickstart the journey as a DBA? How was your journey and all?
Sure, Ankush. I mean, there is a lot which is going on right now in the market. So don't, the first message is don't worry about, like, you don't have to know everything. I mean, that's first thing. I mean, if you start with the basics, you then gradually, sometimes you get a chance to work on something, sometimes you don't get a chance. So whatever you are, getting a chance on, be expert with that. That's one thing, if you are learning only single instance, that is also fine. Even you can become a rack expert with single instance knowledge also. That's what I have seen. So whatever you are getting chance to work on, just keep on exploring the next aspects of it, like how you can get better into that. And that's one thing. And just follow a lot of people around there who are experts. Like, I mean, Ankush is there, a lot of other people are there who are really creating videos, social media content to create awareness about the technologies, what's going on in the market. So yeah, I mean, it's more about like how much effort you're putting in, and also learn from the available resources. I mean, there will not be any one person who can teach you everything.
Correct.
Sometimes you have to learn something from your own, something from the others. So, and keep building on network, like just network with other people who are knowledgeable than you and seek their help. That will really help. I mean, that initially helped me during my days when I was started as DBA. I used to also make mistakes, but I used to learn from them. I used to seek guidance from the seniors to learn and grow. So that's how it works.
That is very important. Seeking a knowledge from the others, that's very a key idea to get expertise into that technology. And I see a lot of people are missing in that. One more thing, like how to like start the career into the DBA? Like that's a very famous question people are asking me. Do you want to add some heads up on it, like how you started, how you got the opportunity, how you practice yourself and all?
Sure. I mean, there are some luck factor also. I got the opportunity as that was my luck. I never wanted to become a DBA, but the technology which was given to me to work on was DBA, and gradually I developed interest into it. But that's not the case for everyone. If anyone wants to get into this in the field of DBA, so I mean, any experience can help you. Like suppose I think Ankush has shared in the past videos, like if you have experience in any other technology and you want to get into the DBA, you can always learn that technology, and you can always show that the past experience was into the DBA. So don't have that fear that I have experience in C++, I cannot become a DBA. So I have seen mechanical engineers working with me who have like 10 or 20 years of experience in mechanical engineering, and then they are working as a DBA, and they were my client. I mean, they were my customers, so they were having a vast experience on that. So I mean, you can do it. I mean, anything is possible, and DBA is not a very tough thing. It's not like you have to write code and everything. You should be very proficient. It's just you have to understand the environment, manage an environment. So yeah, anybody can do it. So don't worry about your experience that you have. Just keep on learning the technology, and then replace it with what you learned, your past experience with what you have learned. So yeah.
Nice. It was a very nice message, Manish. So thank you so much for connecting with the Learnomate Technologies. And as I said, like we will definitely try to help to the DBA community. We'll try to add more and more videos, not only just DBA, the advanced part of Oracle DBA, like the RAG, Golden Gate, the cloud, and a lot of other things, including big data also we have introduced. So thanks for giving your valuable input here and giving your time also. It was a nice time to have you with you here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ankush. Thanks for your
Bye
time.
bye. Thanks.